Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrickster. Here to bring you some more Pokemon Go Battle League battles. These battles are played in the ReMix Cup, and I have not made a video for like 2 weeks or so. I'm sorry, I was busy. I was doing stuff, that's incredibly vague and doesn't really tell you anything, but you can't accuse me of being a liar. So there's that. But yeah, I have been streaming. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at like 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, so you can definitely tune in around then to see what I've been running. But for the last 2 weeks, I have been running dumb things. Like I spent an entire day on stream running Butterfree, and it was glorious for maybe like 4 battles, and the rest of them I got demolished, which is appropriate. That's 100% what's supposed to happen when you run ridiculous things like Butterfree. It's just that I had caught the rank 1, and I was like, you know what? I have to run this along with another rank 1 that I caught in the same day. I had caught rank 1 XL Azumarill, so this must have been like a week ago when those things were spawning everywhere. But yeah, so my games have not been like teachable. They've just been weird. But yeah, now we are back with a specialty cup, the ReMix Cup, where they banned a bunch of, the most common picks, and also Raichu, who definitely doesn't get played by anyone, but Niantic disagrees with me, and that's fine. But yeah, PvPoke has, which a resource that I don't use very often, but I did glance at it before this because I think someone had posted a screenshot, and there was a whole ton of Registeel and Bastiodon and Medicham and some other counter user, Deoxys Defense and Wobbuffet. Those 5 were like all the way at the top. So I just looked at that list once and was like, there are going to be some really degenerate ABB teams here in this meta. So I built my team to have play at the bare minimum against any kind of counter double steal or like steal double counter, because I figure those teams would probably be everywhere. But to the community's credit, I haven't been seeing as much of that as I expected to. So, I mean, good on all of us. Seriously, go us. We did good. So this is my team. Let's hop into this, I think, game 2. Pelipper with Medicham and Whiscash in the back. I love Whiscash. I think it's I think it's a very cute Pokemon, and I think Barboach's Pokemon Cry is adorable. But yeah, it was an old favorite of mine, so I decided to start using it again here since it's a really, really strong counter against Bastiodon and Registeel. And the things that give it trouble, like Azumarill and the direct replacement to it, G-Fisk, are both banned. Unfortunately, the way I built this team have kind of left myself open to Altaria, which I wasn't expecting that many of because of, because I figured a lot of people would be running Reggie and Basti. But no, not so. There are quite a few. When I encounter that in the lead, I am forced to kind of just stay in. The good thing about Altaria in the lead is that their backline tends to be anti-steal, because, if they encounter something steel type in the lead, like a Reggie or a Basti, they need 2 things in the back that can counter them, or at least go even with them. And those kinds of things tend to be not great against Medicham and Whiscash. So if I can just stay in with Pelipper against an Altaria and do enough damage there, my backline is likely to at least be able to recover some of that, like some of my lost shields and lost initiative from their backline. So that's how I've been able to get by with nothing resembling an Altaria counter in a team, in a meta that does contain some Altaria. So, Whiscash against Reggie. Whiscash outpaces Registeel. I think it takes about 7 mud shots for Registeel to reach I guess it would be 8 to reach the Focus Blast, 7 to reach the what's the steel type move? Flash Cannon. Ooh. 7 to reach the flash cannon. So even though they were able to catch on their Altaria, it didn't make any difference because Whiscash just outpaces Registeel by that much. So I managed to take that game. Next up against Francisco Isco. Pelipper into Cresselia. I have not seen that many Cresselia. And Pelipper definitely isn't amazing at it, and I also play this matchup out as poorly as I can and with the worst luck available. So Moonblast, 1 of 3 lowers your attack, and they got the attack drop, and I hadn't even thrown one of my Weather Ball Waters first. So everything that I'm throwing here is already debuffed. Additionally, I really can't send Medicham out because Medicham loses to Cresselia and Whiscash dies to a single blade of grass, much like Swampert. So if this Cresselia is carrying Grass Knot, and it definitely is, Whiscash will be able to be one-shotted by it. So I'm going to send out Whiscash anyway. I'm kind of hoping to hang on to Medicham, and I know that Whiscash will be able to reach a Mud Bomb really fast. I was hoping I'd be able to outspeed it, get to my Mud Bomb before they got to their Grass Knot, but they were able to get there first, so I was forced to shield, and that's okay. I built up some extra energy, and then they shield my Mud Bomb, which is like huge red flag. So clearly they don't actually have an answer to Whiscash in the back. So I just need to spam out these Mud Bombs, and presumably the thing back there is going to be like double steel or something of that nature. Shielding that Grass Knot, and I didn't bother to charge up extra here because I have not been counting. This Cresselia has been on the field for a long time, and even if I had been counting, I would have lost count a long time ago. So there's a Diggersby in the back, and that is not what I expected. Diggersby definitely doesn't have a winning matchup against Whiscash, but I don't know if I were them, if I would have dropped both of my shields to keep Cresselia alive. Take the Earthquake, and I'm just going to stay in to kind of force them to throw their energy. I know Medicham can counter this down, but I didn't want them to be, like, you know, able to get to an Earthquake first. And it turns out that there's a Registeel in the back. So, yeah, their backline is double weak-ish to Whiscash and pretty double weak to Medicham. I mean, that happens a lot because their Altaria is supposed to be their answer to Medicham. It's just because Pelipper and Medicham have some overlapping victories. There's a lot of opportunities with some ABB teams where they're not able to switch out their A into one of their Bs because it would reveal too much and not even really work. Like, that entire team is not particularly strong against Medicham or Whiscash or Pelipper. Their backline Pokemon actually lose to all 3 of those. So as long as I was able to burn through the first one with my first, it turned out to be just fine. Okay, so Pelipper into Jellicent. Jellicent is also a Pokemon that beats everything on my team, but is frequently paired up with things that that my team can manage to beat. So I'm going to shield this first move. They tend to throw the Shadow Ball or the Ice Beam first. I guess they tend to throw the Shadow Ball first because no one's really running, that I've encountered, is running Ice Beam and Bubble Beam. That would be novel. So I'm going to let this second Shadow Ball go through. I'm still able to reach my second Hurricane here. So I'll either get the shields or the damage, and I really would have preferred strongly to get the damage, but wasn't in the cards, and now I'm going to send Whiscash out because Whiscash can survive the moves a lot better. Oh my gosh, he Ice Beamed me. And yeah, switching to Diggersby, which doesn't have an amazing matchup against Whiscash and has a pretty bad matchup against Medicham. So I am just going to throw power-up punches to get my attack up so that I can counter this down faster and not take as much damage. Earthquake comes through, and that's fine. I am going to end up having to shield the second Earthquake, clearly. And I probably shouldn't even be throwing this power-up punch, but if I didn't, they would have the opportunity to be able to throw the Fire Punch, bait, get my last shield, and then possibly reach the Earthquake anyway. But, you know, it felt like the safer way, and I was able to counter that the whole way down. Now they... Oh, my gosh. Shadow Mawile comes out, and that's kind of a spicy pick, but I am going to throw... Oh, my gosh. That Psychic did so much damage from my double boost, even though it was resisted. Mawile's just not really that thick. And now Whiscash comes back out, and I'm just needing to reach this Mud Bomb against this Jellicent to finish that off. And yeah, managed to take that game, even though Jellicent beats my entire team. GG. All right, next up against Jadon, a popular streamer who, from what I have seen, appears to live in his kitchen. Which is nice. I mean, it's good to be that close to the fridge. For sure. So I'm going to throw this Weather Ball. And Pelipper against Reggie is... It's an okay matchup. Pelipper resists all of Registeel's charge moves, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But Flash Cannon does hit kind of hard, so I can actually only really survive one before I am forced to shield the second. Not able to get to my third Weather Ball before they get to their second Flash Cannon, so just going to shield that. And now I can build up some extra energy before throwing this Weather Ball. I actually definitely threw this a little too early. I could have thrown an extra 1 or 2 wing attacks before throwing. And yeah, now there's a Sableye in the back. Sableye is kind of a popular pick because it is kind of the hard counter to a Medicham. I managed to get that shield and went down right before I reached my next Weather Ball. It's just really should have thrown the extra wing attack or 2 against the Reggie. So Whiscash will take the foul play, and I'm going to throw this Mud Bomb. I'm going to try to get a bit ahead of them, but I mean, they're already so far ahead on energy. I'm going to, I think, no shield this. Oh no, I'm going to shield this. Okay, I'm going to shield this and just try to get this Mud Bomb out quickly, but they actually were at like nearly back-to-back foul plays. So I barely survived that and get this Mud Bomb out. It would probably be best for me if they no-shielded and went down because Medicham really does not like Sableye. And they have their own Medicham in the back. So this is pretty much over, but this is actually my first Medicham mirror because, you know, this was like my first set after building this team. So I wasn't super familiar with exactly how bad Power Up Punch Medicham is against... Well, Power Up Punch Medicham against a Medicham with a shield and who is just going straight Psychic. Evidently, straight Psychic is probably the way that you're supposed to go. But I don't know, at the time that didn't feel like an option to me because, you know, they had a shield and I was just... I don't know. I was feeling out that matchup. That was my first Medi mirror. I get better at that, I promise. But yeah, still managed to get a positive set. I got a Rufflet, which is terrible. Could have gotten, I think mostly anything else would probably be better. But yeah, I'm still an expert and I move up to 29-39. Next up against Uchiha. Pelipper against Politoed. This is actually great for Pelipper. Politoed's in the lead, mostly carry Earthquake, so when I was playing this, they built up to 9 and then threw, and I was like, I don't believe you that you have Blizzard at all. And they weatherballed me, so I was like, okay, fine. Probably not Blizzard. So didn't want to throw the Hurricane because I figured they would shield, and yeah, instead threw the Weatherball Water, and they no-shielded that, so I decided to throw this Weatherball Water in case they actually do have Blizzard and build up to it, because I am not going to shield this next move, and if it turns out to be Blizzard, I will die. But, you know, I am prepared to go down in that fashion, and it actually is Blizzard, even though this Politoed is in the lead, which is, like, insanity to me. But, alright, fine. Fine. You know what? It's okay. Gonna send Medicham out to counter down this Politoed, get some nice, delicious energy, and they have their own Medicham back there. So, I'm built up to quite a bit. Gonna throw this power-up punch first. I managed to bait out a shield, so that's fantastic. And, you know, psychologically, when someone successfully baits at you, it makes you want to bait back at them, so I no shield their power-up punch, and that's going pretty well for me. Now I'm going to throw my Psychic because, you know, it's frustrating, and they probably won't want to be baited a second time, and there's an Altaria back there, so that's... Okay, fine. Since I had both of my shields, I'm actually able to take this out with Whiscash, who really doesn't have an amazing matchup against Altaria in times where there are shields. So I'm just going to burn my first shield and go straight Blizzard. My opponent no shields, hoping that I'm baiting them again because, you know, I baited them that one time. And yeah, now they're going Power Up Punch because that's kind of their only win condition is to bait a shield out of me, but not going for it because Whiscash would survive anything that Medicham can throw at him at that range anyway. And yeah, Mud shot the Medicham down. All right, next up against Shady Cougs. Pelipper against Whiscash. This is a pretty good matchup for Pelipper because Whiscash takes neutral damage from the Weather Balls. They switch into an Escavalier, which is really not a Pelipper counter, and they no shield, so I'm actually just going to wing attack this the rest of the way down, and I'm going to shield this because clearly the team is not great against Pelipper, so it makes sense to try to retain Pelipper. Also, Pelipper has plenty of energy and, you know, can outspam a lot of things, and there's an Altaria back there, to which I have no real answer to. So I am going to throw this Weather Ball bait and manage to get the shield, so that's fantastic. And now I'm just going to build up and get to my Hurricane and throw that. And I get the second shield, so that's fine. Now I can safely just switch into my Whiscash, because if I can land the Blizzard, it will one hit KO. They throw the Sky Attack, and I'm going to no shield, and they send their own Whiscash back out, which makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to throw this Blizzard. It is the more efficient move, where both things hit for neutral. So my Mud Bombs hit for neutral, Blizzard hits for neutral. Blizzard is the better choice. They throw their Mud Bomb, and now I'm just going to let my Whiscash go, because they threw this Mud Bomb as soon as they had it, so I know that they don't have, you know, energy. Now I'm going to send Pelipper out to kind of try to build up. I could have probably just shielded this and built up to a Hurricane, but I opted to not shield because it feels bad to shield a Mud Bomb when you're using a flyer. And I figured now I can just send Medicham out and counter the rest of the way down, and I can Psychic the Altaria when it comes back out. So since this is the first time I am throwing Psychic against an Altaria, I did not realize how much it would do, and it did less. Less by a bit. Less than I thought it would do. So yeah, the play in that position would probably have been to Power Up Punch first and then throw the Psychic once it was boosted. Here I end up throwing the Power Up Punch, but you know, it does like no damage. The point of Power Up Punch against a flyer is just to raise the damage that your Psychic is going to do. But that's fine. Was able to take that down anyway because Dragon Breath charges really slowly. And yeah, Power Up Punch this Whiscash because I forgot how much health it had. But yeah, managed to take that game anyway. Altaria, very strong against my team, but you know, the backlines to Altaria are usually not as good against my team, so it kind of evens out. All right, Pelipper against Hypno, Shadow Hypno. Obviously, I have to shield Hypno's moves. They are all carrying Thunder Punch. That's the standard set, is Thunder Punch and Fire Punch, or like Thunder Punch Shadow Ball. Although Double Punch is a lot more popular on the Shadow variant. So, just going to shield this, and as long as I'm careful with my fast move timing not to waste too much of my own turns, and as long as I'm careful not to let them sneak in an entire confusion, I can get to a third Weather Ball before they get to a second Thunder Punch. Throw this, and now I'm going to switch out to try to catch on Whiscash, and I do, and that's amazing. Catch this Thunder Punch, just very little, and there's a Scrafty in the back, so that's okay. Honestly, this is looking to me like Hypno Double Dark. I don't know if people are still playing Hypno Double Dark in Remix Cup. I guess we're going to find out. I built up to way more energy. I think it was just over 100 and kind of wasted a Mud Shot there. But that's alright, just going to throw that Mud Bomb, and since they no shielded, I'm going to throw this Mud Bomb next. This puts them low enough where if they were to foul play me and end up with no energy, I could send Medicham out, or I guess I could just send Pelipper out to wing attack the rest of the way down. That would be fine. But they Power Up Punch again, so I'm going to hang on to my shield, and now I am going to throw this Mud Bomb because I'm worried like one counter from it at this point would take me out. And there's an Obscure in the back, so it is Hypno Double Dark. Double Dark counter user, which is really unique, but yeah, after Hypno went down, there wasn't a lot of options against Medicham. So my opponent resigns the game. GG. All right, next up against Agent Avocado, who has a totally insane team. This is a Hundo Purified Wobbuffet, and it is level 50. Not best buddied yet, so Avo definitely has to work on that. But yeah, 1160. That's the max Hundo at level 50. That's That is a really obnoxiously thick Wobbuffet. My Weather Ball Waters are doing nothing. I shield the first return because, I don't really know how much it does, and I'm not really sure how good the rest of my team is against Wobbuffet. Probably not actually that good. I mean, Pelipper is dealing neutral damage and resisting the counters, so that's probably as good of a matchup as I'm going to get out of my team. Although I think Medicham would probably be able to have some play also, depending on moveset. Yeah. And now my opponent switches into Sableye when his Wobbuffet starts getting too low. So I throw the Weather Ball Water, get my shield back, and switch into Whiscash right away to try to get ahead on energy. Whiscash will just barely outpace Sableye. So if I can stop him from sneaking in a fast move, but I am not able to stop him from sneaking in the Shadow Claw, then, Whiscash can pull ahead. But that's not really what ends up happening here. I shield this foul play and throw this Mud Bomb as soon as I have it. They sneak in another Shadow Claw, so I'm still not able to gain any ground on them energy-wise. Thankfully, they let that go through, and there's a Chansey in the back. So I am going to throw this Mud Bomb just to kind of stall for time, because I don't need Chansey building up energy to the freaking Hyper Beam, because that will probably hurt a lot, even though Chansey has, 0 attack. Yeah, and I get Medicham locked in on this. So now I'm just going to start throwing power-up punches as soon as I have them to ramp up my counter damage. Counter is really the only thing that's going to be doing damage against this Chansey. Alright, second power-up punch. Now I am throwing double boosted counters, and it's still only doing that much. And it's super effective with stab. Double boosted. I mean, come on, Chansey. Oh my gosh. It's ridiculously thick. I don't know. I don't know where Agent Avocado got all of this XL candy to build this Wobbuffet and this Chansey. Oh my god, they are gigantic. He switches out into Wobbuffet, and I am locked in, because at this point, I am already triple boosted on my counters. So I throw this power-up punch, I get the last shield, and now I am quadruple boosted. It's still not really doing enough, because Wobbuffet is so unbelievably thick, and it's, resisting. They throw the Mirror Coats. They weren't quite able to reach the return, and I am spamming the power punch button because I'm anticipating Sableye coming back out, because one Shadow Claw would finish me off at this point, and that's kind of a win condition for them. Throw the power up punch. It's quadruple boosted, so it's able to take them out, and I switch out of Medicham before I faint so that I can get to this Weather Ball before Chansey is able to get to a Psychic, so I can take this Chansey down and not get timed out on the clock. So GG to my opponent. That is a crazy team. I really appreciate that people are running things like that. And you can definitely see that the strategy behind that is to time the opponent out and keep all three of their Pokemon alive. So you've got to think about that kind of thing as soon as you see something like a Wobbuffet or a Chansey. Most likely it's a stall team. It's just there to wait out the 4-minute, 30-second clock. So, yeah, Pelipper against Meganium is... It's not great, but, I mean, could be a lot worse. I'm able to get the first shield by baiting the Weather Ball. Even if they no-shielded, they would be forced to shield the second one. So it's, it's okay that they, whether they shield the first one or not is fine. So shielding the second one, second Frenzy Plant, and there's a Bronzong back there, and I took way too long to switch into Whiscash. Whiscash is a pretty direct counter to Bronzong. I was just building up energy because, I mean, Weather Ball Water is pretty strong in this meta, so it never hurts to have some extra energy on Pel. Here, I could have thrown the Mud Bomb before, but, I was trying to, sync up my my charge move timing. So I ended up taking a Psyshock that I guess I didn't need to take, but that's probably for the best because Meganium now only gets one Vine Whip of farm, whereas if I had, a quarter health, they would have gotten, 2 Vine Whips worth of farm. Yeah. So I forgot how much energy Meganium had, so I ended up throwing the Weather Ball Water right away. Probably should have built up a little bit more. I might even have been able to wing attack the whole way down. But that's pretty bad because there is a Charm Ninetales back there. And, okay, so I switch out. I'm going to throw this Power-Up Punch as soon as I can because I don't want them to shield it, thinking that maybe it's an Ice Punch. I want them to know that it's a Power Punch so they let it through. And I'm just barely able to counter down before I fall to Charm. So, yeah, GG. That was... Oof. The end of that game was really stressful. I did not think I had that game when the Charm Ninetales came out, but Medicham is pretty thick, so it can tank a couple of those charms, and the counters hit for neutral, so was barely able to pull that together. So pretty good, claiming a 5 out of 5, and now hitting Legend at 3017. I get some poses that I will probably not use, and some clothes that probably will not wear. But, it's good to have them in your closet. Never hurts to, use all of your closet space, and since our closets in this game are digital, we can just fill it infinitely. No problem. All right, so Charm Ninetales in the lead. This is fine for Pelipper. Pelipper outspeeds it very easily, so just going to throw the first Weather Ball, and I should really have thrown the second Weather Ball as soon as I had it, just so that I'd, CMP tie here and actually be able to get it through. They switch out to Jellicent, and, even if I throw the Hurricane and get a shield here, I could have gotten a shield for a Weather Ball Water if I had thrown earlier against Alolan Ninetales. I was just trying to not get caught, but, if they caught one Weather Ball Water, that's not even really as bad as throwing a Hurricane and getting shielded. So it's really all the same in this particular scenario, anyway. But yeah, I bring Whiscash in against the Jellicent, and I am going to shield the Shadow Ball because Whiscash is very spammy, so I'll outpace it. So now that I've pulled this into that shielded scenario, they are very incentivized to shield there because Whiscash would outspeed, so it would feel like a waste of a shield. Ninetales comes back out, and I, Mudshot that and Mud Bomb that the whole way down. And now I'm still able to reach this Mud Bomb, so I am going to Mud Bomb this Jellicent, and they shield that. I switch into Pelipper, and I manage to sneak in this a pair of Wing Attacks before throwing this Weather Ball. Take Jellicent out, and there's a Medicham back there. So that's kind of surprising. Honestly, the way they were, trying to keep Jellicent alive, I was anticipating maybe that they had, a Bastiodon back there or something. Something that, Whiscash would just demolish, and that's why they were trying to keep the Jellicent alive. If they had the Medicham back there, I'm not really sure why they wouldn't have saved their shield for Medicham. Medicham with his shields can do a lot of damage to a lot of stuff. Especially if they have Power Up Punch, as they do, and Psychic, which is the same moveset that I'm using. So I've been on the other side of this matchup before. I know that Psychic won't take me out. Not really worried. Just building up to the Psychic, throwing it as soon as I have it, and take out the Medicham, and yeah, managed to take that game. Boy, that team is pretty weak to Sableye, though. Looking at it. All right, next up against Mungme. Pelipper against Melmetal. This is, Melmetal can pretty much one-shot me with a Rock Slide, or, obviously with a Thunderbolt if they're carrying that, not that most people are. I know they're going to Superpower me here and then leave, but I opt to just let the Superpower go through anyway because Whiscash is pretty tanky. But then a Politoed comes back out, and that is even spammier than Whiscash. And, yeah, those Mud Bombs just do not really do enough. Thankfully, my Pelipper still has plenty of health. So as long as I can get this Politoed low, maybe eat up a shield, should be able to to farm up a bunch of energy. Oh, wow. They CMP tie me and win the CMP tie, so I'm going to let Whiscash go down here, bring out Pelipper, and Wing Attack the whole way. Actually, I don't really want to get Blizzarded, so, after enough, I'm going to throw this Weather Ball Water. But, looking at it, probably should have thrown a few more Wing Attacks first. And Melmetal comes back out, and I already know that this Melmetal has energy. So I'm just going to throw this Weather Ball and then switch out, try to catch a move. Don't manage to catch a move, and my Medicham is now met with a Deoxys defense. So the play in this scenario for me, since, both of my moves are going to be resisted anyway, is just to throw power-up punches as soon as I have them and try to stop letting them sneak in so many counters, because they are sneaking in two counters already, and that's two more than I need them to sneak in. Do manage to get one of my own in there, so that's nice. Gonna shield this move, and it is the Thunderbolt, so that's good. They can't really throw the Psycho Boost because, I mean, sure, it hits for neutral, but it lowers their attack, so that would make them kind of helpless. And now that I have like triple boosted counters, they're actually starting to add up and do some real damage here. Shielding this second Thunderbolt and throwing this Power Punch, they managed to sneak in a counter, and that's not great. That's the third one that I've let sneak in. I get the shield. Now I throw this Power Punch, and I am probably going to get another shield because I'm under the impression they're really close. I really should have tried maybe to catch this move on Pelipper, but yeah, they managed to land that Thunderbolt, and they switch out to Melmetal. If I could have gotten one counter in, I think it would have KO'd, but, you know, wasn't enough because they already had a move stored. And now I just need to get to this Weather Ball Water, but they are able to get to their Rock Slide just before I'm able to reach. And, well, Melmetal, I think, wins CMP anyway, so they had a little bit of leeway there. But, yeah, I managed to take me out. GG. All right, Pelipper against Abomasnow. This is... I don't like this lead at all. Like, I don't have great play against Abomasnow because Whiscash is really weak to Obama, so I can't switch out. So I'm kind of stuck in here. But thankfully, everyone throws the Weather Ball first. None of them seem to... I haven't been Energy Balled yet. So gonna no shield there, and yeah, they actually, you know, anticipated that I was gonna switch out. I was trying to switch into Medicham to maybe land one counter to KO them because they're Shadow. But yeah, no, they caught me with their Pelipper. I'm gonna no shield this because, I mean, looking at it, I was really confident it was gonna be the Weather Ball, but they actually Hurricaned me, which is wild. Like, I would have just gone double Weather Ball because it would do the job just fine. So thankfully they don't manage to sneak in a wing attack. That is actually pivotal because I have really, really low health. And I managed to land my Weather Ball Water, and since I snuck in my wing attack there, I'm going to shield here because, you know, if that connects, then they'll faint after that. But nope, they swapped in to Abomasnow to catch my Pelipper and actually managed to take me out. So I went out with all of that energy. That is a terrible, terrible waste. I'm going to kind of have to hope that Whiscash has play against whatever's in the back, but it's a Politoed, so I guess not really. Yeah, at this point, I throw the Mud Bomb, I get the shield, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter that we're going to have to shield one of them at some random time, and Mud Bomb is the only thing that I have to throw. Eat that Weather Ball, and yeah, I'm throwing this Mud Bomb. I needed to sneak in, like... at least the mud shot here, but since I didn't sneak in the mud shot here, I figured, all right, you know what, I'm dead. Let me just shield so that my beloved Whiscash does not faint, and then I will get out. Don't need to see that my Whiscash go down. That would be sad. All right, Pelipper against Mew. Most Mews are carrying Wild Charge and either Flame Charge or Surf. When they go to Surf as their bait move, I mean, they reach it in 5 Shadow Claws. So they can, even if they bait constantly, they can never actually get ahead of Pelipper. So most of them will just go straight Wild Charge and then duck out, which is fine. My opponent switches into Ferrothorn, and I was a little bit too late to the swap, and that is going to come back and bite me. My Medicham, by the way, you know, if you're looking at this and noticing that, you know, that the IVs will definitely matter, the Medicham that I'm using is a Hundo that is just boosted up as high as it can go, being a Hundo, which is, I think, level 43.5. So not really that expensive and not quite as bulky as an actual, like, XL IVs Medicham, and yeah, fainted out there before I was able to counter down. So I definitely needed to switch in a little bit earlier or have a thicker Medicham, you know, my choice, whatever, however I want to go about managing to change that matchup. Thankfully, a Scrafty comes out against my Pelipper, so that is fantastic. At this point, I can just go straight Weather Ball Water. Obviously, the Hurricane would one-hit KO, but the Weather Balls do plenty of damage, and combined with the wing attacks, 2 Weather Balls costs about as much as a Hurricane and will KO the same way a Hurricane does. So, you know, not going to give them an opportunity to shield a big move and waste a bunch of energy. Just going to go straight Weather Ball spam. Because, you know, Weather Ball is a really broken move. I switch into Whiscash to try to maybe catch a Wild Charge or something. Doesn't really work out, but that's fine. It's not like this Mew is running Grass Knot, but I mean, you know, it could. It could. It just It just isn't. But yeah. And my opponent sees that they don't really have a way of taking out Whiscash or Pell and resigns the game. GG. All right. Pelipper against Mandibuzz. I mean, we're both hitting each other for neutral, and Weather Ball is a very efficient move, but Mandibuzz is really, really, really thick. So this Weather Ball is going to do not much. I mean, it's no Wobbuffet, but it's pretty thick. The foul plays hurt. Being that Pelipper outspeeds, I do have the option to win switch if I want to. I just need to shield once. And then, if they shield, then I'll shield twice. So I can go down a shield to win switch, or I can not shield anything and just, straight Weather Ball, and they will almost definitely shield this Weather Ball and win switch and farm me down. So it's not an amazing position to be in, but at least, I'm up a shield. Thankfully, they insta-throw, so this is probably just a foul play. And it is, and I stuck in a counter. But even like that, they're still able to get to a second move. And I was just hoping that they had only reached another foul play, so I know shielded, but no, it was the aerial ace, which does a little bit more. And they have their own Medicham in the back. So I really probably should have countered a bunch more and maybe gone straight Psychic. Instead, I power-up punched, and now they're going to probably do the same thing. Besides, they don't know what I have in the back. It could be a Steel type or something that, they're really strong against. I built up to the Psychic, and now I'm going to throw that. But since I'm already boosted and they, are probably counting my energy, I just get the last shield instead of, getting the KO. Probably would have helped, to just go straight Psychic. Not to have power-up punched. And I'm going to no-shield this because, I'm feeling another power-up punch because I already had 2 shields. And if they had power-up, at this point, they could literally just straight power-up punch me down. Thankfully, they throw the Ice Punch, so, I farm up a little bit extra energy, not that much, because the counters are doing way too much, and Blizzard down the Medicham. And alright, there's a Registeel in the back, so this is fine. At this point, I can just, double Mud Bomb. Actually, I think I need a third Mud Bomb. Might need a third Mud Bomb, because I already had energy stored. When it's in the lead, your Mud Shots plus the Mud Bombs add up too much. Throwing this Mud Bomb, and I'm figuring they're probably going to try to catch on Mandibuzz, but even if they do, I mean, Whiscash outspeeds Reggie by so much. Might have been able to reach another one anyway, but take out the Reggie, and now I'm just going to, I guess, Mud Shot down the Mandibuzz, because that's what I have to do. GG. Alright. Okay, and I guess that concluded that set. This was my Pikachu Libre that I got. 516, so the IVs are not great, and it's not shiny, but that's okay, because shininess is not really a thing that I focus on too much. And yeah, I guess we don't really need to watch me do this, like I'm going to eventually catch this Pikachu, how hard can it possibly be, and presumably I'll go up by some number of points. And if you like this content, don't forget to do the things that you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. Do the things. It encourages me to not take 2 weeks to make a video. So, I don't know. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.